In this epilogue, we revisit the lives of several key characters after the novel's main events. Their fates, marked by tragedy and transformation, reflect the novel's central themes of injustice, oppression, and personal downfall. After Maria Clara's decision to enter the nunnery, Padre Damaso, the domineering friar who had wielded great power over the town of San Diego, leaves the town and moves to Manila. However, his past actions continue to haunt him. His role in Maria Clara's misery and his constant meddling in Ibarra's life cast a dark shadow over him. "She was the daughter I never had," he had once confessed to a fellow priest in a rare moment of vulnerability, referring to Maria Clara. But guilt weighed heavily on him, especially after forcing her into the convent. Not long after settling in Manila, he receives an unexpected order from the provincial superior, commanding him to take up a post in a distant and desolate province. The order leaves him devastated. "After all I have done for the church, this is how they repay me?" he mutters bitterly to himself, feeling betrayed. The next morning, Padre Damaso is found dead in his room. The cause speculated to be either an apoplectic stroke or a nightmare as rumors swirl among the townsfolk. Capitan Tiago, once a prominent figure in society, and the father of Maria Clara, also falls into a deep decline. Weeks before Maria Clara takes her vows, he becomes increasingly withdrawn, his once lively demeanor now replaced by melancholy and silence. Aunt Isabel, his cousin, notices the change. He turns to opium and gambling, frequenting cockpits and smoke-filled opium dens in a futile attempt to numb his pain. Those who pass by Calle Santo Cristo can sometimes see him in a Chinese shop, his yellowed fingers and sunken eyes hinting at a life now ravaged by addiction. "That's Capitan Tiago, the one who hosted grand parties?" whispers a passerby in disbelief, as Tiago, bent over and frail, limps toward a public opium den. Doña Victorina, the vain and pretentious social climber, continues her attempts to Europeanize herself, adding more false curls to her hair and adopting Spanish customs. She forces her husband, Don Tiburcio, to sit silently by her side as she drives her carriage herself, despite her poor eyesight. "Victorina, it's dangerous. You can't see clearly," Don Tiburcio pleads with her one morning. "Silence, you fool. I know what I'm doing," she snaps back, her pride blinding her to her own limitations. Accidents become more frequent, and Victorina's solution is to start wearing spectacles, which only adds to her bizarre appearance. Don Tiburcio, who once boasted of his medical prowess, is now toothless and voiceless, constantly humiliated by his domineering wife. With Linares, his last ally, long dead from dysentery, Don Tiburcio resigns himself to his wife's cruelty, often seen cowering in her presence. Meanwhile, the alferez, the former head of the Guardia Civil, leaves for Spain with a promotion to the rank of major, abandoning his wife, Doña Consolacion. Consolacion, notorious for her vulgar behavior and cruelty, now lives a life of bitterness and isolation. Left behind with nothing but her flannel shirt, which has faded into a colorless rag, she takes to heavy drinking and chain smoking. "What do I care if they all fear me?" she slurs one evening, bottle in hand, as she stumbles through the streets. Even the young girls and elderly women of the town avoid her, fearing her violent temper and harsh words. As for Maria Clara, her fate becomes shrouded in mystery after she enters the nunnery of St. Clara. Her beauty and grace are well known, but her sudden disappearance from public life raises many questions. No one is willing to speak openly about her, not even the nuns or the devotees who frequent the convent. "What became of her?" a visitor once asked a talkative servant who worked at the convent. The servant, usually quick to gossip, simply shook her head. "No one knows, not even those who bring the nuns their meals." One stormy night, as a typhoon lashes the streets of Manila, 2 guards take shelter near the nunnery. The wind howls, and the rain beats furiously against the buildings. The guards, a private and a distinguido, exchange uneasy glances. "It's a night for ghosts," the private mutters nervously. Suddenly, a streak of lightning illuminates the sky, and in the flash of light, They see a figure dressed in white standing on the roof of the convent. The figure raises her arms toward the sky, her face turned upward in silent prayer. "Did you see that?" the private exclaims, his voice trembling with fear. "It's a specter!" The distinguido looks again, and another flash of lightning reveals the figure more clearly. A young woman, beautiful and ethereal, standing as if pleading with the heavens. "No, it's not a ghost. She's real," the distinguido whispers. "But what is she doing up there?" The next morning, a government official arrives at the nunnery demanding to speak with the abbess. He is there to investigate a complaint made by one of the nuns. A young nun, with her clothes torn and soaked from the storm, had pleaded with him the night before. "Help me," she had cried, her voice filled with desperation. "They're cruel, hypocritical. I can't bear it anymore." The official, moved by her beauty and sorrow, had promised to return. But when he arrives at the nunnery, the abbess dismisses the claims, insisting that the nun is mad. "She's delusional," the abbess says firmly. The official hesitates, then leaves without the young nun, her pleas echoing in his ears. Rumors spread that the nun was Maria Clara, but her ultimate fate remains unknown. Whether she lives on in the cloister, forgotten by the world, or has met a tragic end within its walls, no one can say for sure.